Where is my father? The cardiologist asked us to brief you before. Take me to him. The nurse stopped arguing. Ethan Cole followed her down the hospital corridor, still wearing the suit, his phone vibrating. His father was awake. Barely. You came. You scared half the company calling me like that. That company will survive one afternoon without you. Ethan sat beside the bed. His father reached for his wrist. I need you to promise me something. No promises tonight. Then listen. Ethan looked away. The Bellmore Theater closes in 12 days. His eyes returned. That place should have closed years ago. Maybe, but I bought it back this morning. You did what? And I put your name on the deed. Ethan stood. Dad, there is a woman there, Nora Hayes. She has kept that theater alive with volunteers, borrowed equipment, and stubbornness. I don't know her. You don't need to. Then what exactly do you want? His father breathed carefully. Go there. Work beside her for 12 days. If you still believe the place deserves to die, sell it. Ethan stared. And if I don't? His father smiled weakly. Then maybe you finally found something worth coming home for. Ethan stared at his father. Something worth coming home for. His father closed his eyes. You heard me. I have a company to run. You have people who run it for you. That isn't how it works. It is exactly how it works. You simply enjoy believing the whole building collapses when you leave it. Ethan stood beside the hospital bed, jaw tight. You bought a dying theater without asking me, put my name on the deed, and now you expect me to spend 12 days working beside some woman I've never met, because you think I need a life lesson? His father opened his eyes again. No. Good. I expect you to do it because I'm asking. That silenced him. Richard Cole had never asked his son for much. Not after Ethan's mother died. Not when the doctors told him his own heart was weakening. Not even when Ethan stopped coming home for Christmas because December had become the busiest quarter at Cole Development. Richard had simply learned to accept whatever pieces of Ethan were available. A phone call, a birthday gift delivered by an assistant, dinner postponed 3 times and eventually forgotten. Maybe that was why the request felt heavier than it should have. Ethan looked toward the window. 12 days. 12. And after that, I can sell it. If you still want to. I will. Richard smiled. That confidence of yours has cost you more than you know. Ethan picked up his jacket. I'll go tomorrow. His father's smile faded into something softer. Go today. Dad. Ethan. The monitor beside the bed continued its steady rhythm. Richard looked suddenly smaller beneath the hospital blanket. People always think they have tomorrow because tomorrow has never failed to arrive before. Ethan swallowed. I'll go today. Good. He reached the door. Son? Ethan turned. Richard said, Don't tell Nora I sent you there to save anything. What am I supposed to tell her? The truth. Which part? That you own the building. Ethan stared at him. Richard smiled faintly. The rest, you'll have to figure out yourself. The Bellmore Theater stood 27 miles outside the city, pressed between an old bookstore and a bakery that seemed to have survived from another century. Ethan almost drove past it. Twice. The marquee letters were missing in places. Bellmore THEATRE. A faded poster advertised a production that had apparently closed 3 months earlier. Paint peeled from the ticket booth. One of the front windows had a crack running diagonally across it. Ethan parked his black Mercedes in front. 3 people unloading plywood from a truck stopped to stare. One of them whistled. Either the bank finally came or someone's very lost. Ethan ignored him. He pushed through the theater doors. The smell hit first. Old wood, dust, paint, coffee, something sweet, and underneath it all, the faint scent of fabric and history. The lobby was beautiful, or had been. Deep red carpet climbed a sweeping staircase. Gold molding framed the walls. Black and white photographs showed actors beneath stage lights going back decades. At the center of the lobby, A woman stood on a ladder holding a paintbrush between her teeth. Ethan stopped. She was wearing faded jeans, an oversized gray sweatshirt, and white sneakers covered in paint. Her dark hair was twisted into a careless knot. She was not what he expected. The woman glanced down. "Can I help you? I'm looking for Nora Hayes." She removed the paintbrush from her mouth. "You found her." Ethan looked at the ladder, then at her. "You're Nora. That usually follows from, 'You found her.'" He almost smiled. "Almost. My name is Ethan Cole." Her expression disappeared. Not softened, not surprised. Disappeared. She climbed down carefully. "Richard's son. You know my father?" "I know who he is. And you know he bought the theater." "I know." Ethan looked around. "You don't seem very pleased. Should I throw confetti?" "He kept the building from foreclosure. He purchased the debt 3 hours before foreclosure. That sounds like keeping it from foreclosure." Nora set down the paintbrush. "Your father told me he wasn't buying this place to turn it into apartments." "He isn't." Her eyes moved over him. "You are." Ethan said nothing. She laughed once. "Right. You don't know me. I know Cole Development. That's a company whose name is attached to 6 luxury towers where old neighborhoods used to be." Ethan's jaw tightened. Those projects created jobs. They also created apartments nobody who lived there before could afford. "I didn't come here to debate urban economics." "Good. I'm busy." She picked up the paintbrush. He watched her climb 2 rungs. "Nora," she looked down. "I own this building. That makes you responsible for the plumbing." "I beg your pardon?" "The upstairs bathroom has been leaking since Monday." Ethan stared. She smiled. "Congratulations on ownership." Then she climbed back up the ladder. 10 minutes later, Ethan stood in the upstairs bathroom staring at water dripping into a bucket. A teenager beside him held a wrench. "So you're the billionaire?" Ethan looked at him. "No. My sister Googled you." "Who are you?" "Leo." "What do you do here?" "Everything nobody pays me for." "That sounds inefficient." Leo shrugged. "Nora says efficiency is usually what rich people call getting fewer people to do more work." Ethan closed his eyes. "Does everyone here speak like her?" "Mostly after 6 months." Ethan looked at the pipe. "Where is the shut-off valve?" Leo pointed. "Behind you." Ethan turned. It was painted over. He looked back. Leo smiled. "Welcome to Bellmore." By 6 o'clock, Ethan's expensive shirt was wet at one sleeve. His shoes had dust on them, and the leak had finally stopped. Nora was sitting on the edge of the stage, eating noodles from a paper carton. "You're still here." Ethan walked down the aisle. "My father asked me to spend 12 days here." The fork stopped halfway to her mouth. "He did what?" 12 days. Doing what?" "Apparently discovering whether this building deserves to survive." Nora set down the carton. "And you agreed." "He's in the hospital." Something changed in her face. "How bad?" Ethan looked away. "Bad enough." She nodded slowly. "I'm sorry." He didn't answer. Nora looked around the empty theater. "So this is a test. For me." "No. For us." "What?" "If in 12 days you still want to sell, we lose the building." Ethan sat several seats away. "Yes. And how much do you know about theater?" "Nothing." "About this neighborhood?" "Nothing." "About Bellmore?" "Nothing." "Excellent." He glanced at her. "You're enjoying this." "A little." "You should be trying to impress me." "Why?" "Because I decide what happens." Nora studied him. Then she stood. "No, Mr. Cole." "What?" "That's exactly what I'm not going to do." She walked toward the wings. "If Bellmore has to pretend to be something else to impress you, then you might as well sell it now." Day 2 began at 6:47 a.m. Ethan arrived at 8:15. Nora looked at her watch. "You're late. You didn't give me a time." "I just did yesterday. You said nothing about 7. I said rehearsal starts at 7. I'm not rehearsing. Neither are the electricians, but they arrived. She handed him a broom. He stared at it. No. Yes. I employ people to do this. Not here. Nora. Ethan. They stared at each other. Leo walked past carrying a lighting cable. $10 on Nora. Ethan took the broom. By day 3, Ethan had learned 5 things. The Bellmore Theater had opened in 1928. The roof leaked in 4 places. Nora had been managing it without salary for 11 months. 17 volunteers kept the place operational. And every afternoon at 4, an elderly man named Mr. Bennett sat in seat G12 even when there was no performance. Ethan noticed him first while reviewing repair estimates. Why is he here? Nora followed his gaze. His wife died last year. What does that have to do with the theater? They met here. Ethan looked at her. 1949 revival of our town. He was an usher. She was late. That's strangely specific. He tells the story every Tuesday. Today is Thursday. He tells it other days too. Ethan watched the old man. Why G12? Her seat. Silence. Nora continued organizing programs. Bellmore isn't profitable, I noticed. That doesn't mean it has no value. Ethan turned toward her. Everything has to eventually support itself. I agree. He looked surprised. You do? Of course. I'm sentimental, Ethan, not stupid. She handed him a folder. Inside were spreadsheets, ticket sales, rental projections, community programming, a proposed restoration fund. Where did this come from? I made it. You? Yes. He sat. The numbers were conservative. Actually, better than conservative. Careful. You've modeled 3 revenue scenarios. Yes. The membership projections are too optimistic. Page 14. He turned. Alternate projections. His eyebrows lifted. You anticipated that. I anticipated you. For the first time, Ethan smiled openly. Nora noticed. You should do that more. What? Look human. His smile disappeared. There. Ruined it. On day 4, his father called. How is the theater? Falling apart. And Nora? Annoying. Richard laughed. You like her. I said annoying. You were annoying when you were 6. Your mother adored you. That proves nothing. How many days left? 8. And you've mentioned Nora before the building twice in 30 seconds. Ethan looked through his office window toward the stage. Nora was helping a little girl practice lines. You sound tired. So do you. I am old. You're 68. Old enough to enjoy irritating my son. Ethan's expression softened. Dad, I'm all right today. Are you? I said today. Silence. Richard continued. Ethan, whatever happens with Bellmore, don't make your decision because you think it's what I want. You sent me here. I sent you there to look properly. At what? Everything. The call ended. Ethan remained standing at the window. On stage, the little girl forgot her line. Nora whispered it. The girl tried again. This time she got it. Everyone clapped. The girl bowed dramatically. Nora laughed. And Ethan remembered his father's words. A woman standing in your house, laughing. And for the first time, so were you. He pushed the thought away. Wrong story. Wrong woman. Wrong life. Day 5 brought Olivia Grant, Ethan's business partner, former fiancée, and the woman who knew exactly how much the Bellmore property was worth if it stopped being a theater. She walked through the lobby in cream trousers and a camel coat that probably cost more than Bellmore's monthly ticket revenue. Nora saw her. Can I help you? Olivia Grant. Nora Hayes. I know. That bothered Nora. Olivia looked toward the ceiling. So this is the building. This is the building. Charming. Nora smiled. You say that like a doctor saying interesting. Olivia returned the smile. Ethan? Stage. Olivia found him reviewing construction plans. You look terrible. Good morning to you too. You missed the Patterson meeting. I moved it. For this? Ethan looked around. Yes. Olivia lowered her voice. The Mercer Group increased their offer. How much? 14 million. Nora stopped behind the curtain. Not intentionally. She had been carrying costumes, but she heard. 14 million. Olivia continued. Cash. 30-day close. You knock this place down, combine the adjacent parcels, and we could clear nearly 22 after development. Ethan said nothing. Ethan, I heard you. You have 7 days left. I know. This isn't complicated. He looked at her. It was simpler 5 days ago. Olivia's expression changed. Nora? Ethan didn't answer. That was answer enough. That evening, Nora found him alone in the balcony. 14 million. He turned. You heard. Hard not to. I wasn't hiding it. Were you going to tell me? Yes. When? I don't know. Nora leaned against the railing. You should take it. Ethan frowned. What? 14 million is absurd. You've spent 5 days telling me not to sell. I've spent 5 days showing you why Bellmore matters. And now I know what you're being asked to walk away from. He studied her. That changes your argument? It changes my understanding. Nora, I don't want you saving this place because guilt made you stupid. He laughed quietly. She looked at him. What? You're the first person I've ever met who argues against herself honestly. My father said lying to win makes winning useless. Ethan looked toward the empty stage. Your father? He built sets here. For how long? 32 years. That's why you're doing this. One reason. What happened to him? Cancer. I'm sorry. He hated that phrase. What phrase? I'm sorry. Ethan turned toward her. What did he prefer? That's awful. Ethan nodded. That's awful. Nora smiled. Thank you. For several seconds, neither spoke. Then Ethan said, My mother died when I was 14. Nora looked at him. He had never told her. She collapsed at home. Aneurysm. No warning. My father was traveling. I was the only one there. Nora said nothing. The ambulance took 12 minutes. He stared toward the stage. It felt like 12 years. Nora's voice softened. Ethan. Afterward, my father became everything. Mother, father, businessman, cook, although badly. Nora smiled faintly. He tried. He did. And now I'm watching him disappear slowly. That sentence cost him something. Nora could see it. She moved closer but did not touch him. What are you afraid of? Ethan laughed without humor. You ask invasive questions. You avoid simple ones. He looked at her. What am I afraid of? Yes. Ethan swallowed. That after he dies, I'll discover I knew how to keep a company alive, but not the person who built my life. Nora reached for his hand. No speech. No advice. Just her fingers around his. Ethan looked down, then back at her. Neither moved. Day 6. The article appeared at 7:12 a.m. Billionaire developer's new charity project linked to theater manager with family debts. Below it was Nora's photograph. Below that, her father's medical debt, her mortgage arrears, Bellmore's unpaid tax history, and a paragraph suggesting Nora had manipulated Richard Cole into purchasing the theater before approaching his son emotionally. Ethan read it twice, then called Olivia. Did you do this? Silence. Excuse me? You heard me. Ethan, be careful. Did you? No. Who knew about the Mercer offer? Our office. Who knew Nora's name? Half the town. Who benefits if Bellmore becomes impossible to defend? Olivia's voice cooled. You're not thinking clearly. Answer me. I did not leak anything. He hung up. Nora entered his temporary office 10 minutes later. You saw it. Yes. I'm leaving. No, she stopped. I'm not asking. Neither am I. Ethan, they've turned me into the reason your father bought this place. I know. They're saying I targeted your family. I know. Your investors will believe it. I don't care. You should. Nora. No. Her voice rose. You don't get to decide this only from inside your feelings. You have employees, partners, a board, your father's company name. You told me everything has to support itself. That includes your reputation. Ethan stood. My reputation can survive an article. And mine? That stopped him. Nora's eyes filled. My father spent his entire life in this town. People trusted him. I have spent years trying to keep that name clean. And now strangers are discussing whether his daughter seduced a rich man into rescuing a failing theater. Ethan stepped closer. I'll fix it. There. What? That sentence. What sentence? I'll fix it. She shook her head. You think every problem becomes yours the moment you care. I can help. I know. That isn't a bad thing. It becomes one when helping means taking control before asking what I want. Ethan went quiet. Nora wiped her cheek angrily. I need space. She left. The source of the story surfaced that afternoon. Not Olivia. Mercer Development. The company bidding for Bellmore. They had hired an opposition research firm, and someone inside Ethan's company had provided access. Olivia arrived furious. I found the authorization. Ethan looked up. Who? Mark Ridley. A board member, one of Ethan's oldest executives. He thought weakening public support would make the sale easier. Ethan stared. He used private information. Yes. Fire him. I already did. Ethan looked at her. Olivia sat. You thought it was me. Yes. That hurt. I know. Good. He almost smiled. She didn't. Then Olivia said, You're in love with her. Ethan looked away. Don't. I spent 4 years with you. I know what you look like when you're interested. This isn't your business. No. Her voice softened. But maybe this is the first time your life has stopped being mine to manage. He looked at her. She stood. For what it's worth, I don't think you should sell the theater. Now he stared. Olivia smiled. Don't make me repeat it. Why? Because for 5 years I've watched you build buildings you never enter after opening day. She picked up her bag. You've been inside this one for 6. Day 7. Nora did not come. Day 8. Still nothing. Ethan tried calling once. No answer. He did not call again. Instead, he went to the bakery next door. The owner pointed upstairs. She lives above it. Ethan frowned. Here? Since her father got sick. He climbed the narrow stairs. Nora opened the door wearing an oversized sweater. What are you doing here? I came to ask. Ask what? What you want. She stared. Ethan continued. I was going to issue statements. Sue Mercer. Fire people. Call newspapers. Sounds like you. I stopped. Why? Because you asked me to. I asked for space. Yes. And you actually listened? Painfully. She almost smiled. What do you want, Nora? Her expression changed. For the article? For everything. Silence. She looked down the hallway, then stepped aside. Come in. The apartment was small. Books everywhere. Plants in chipped pots. Old theater posters. A photograph of Nora beside an older man holding a hammer. Her father. Ethan stared at it. Nora noticed. That's him. He looks happy. He was. She sat. I want the truth published. Okay. Not a glamorous PR statement about how wonderful I am. Fine. I want the article corrected. I want Mercer named as the source if legally possible. It is. And I want you not to save Bellmore because this happened. Ethan sat opposite her. Why are you so afraid of owing me? Nora's eyes sharpened. I'm not. You are. No. You refuse cars, money, assistance, introductions, because those things create imbalance. Only if we let them. She laughed. That's something a rich man says, because nobody has ever had enough leverage over him to teach him otherwise. Ethan sat back. That landed. Nora continued. My father died owing $78,000 in medical bills. I could have taken money from donors. Some offered. I refused anything that came with control over Bellmore. Why? Because I watched my father spend his last year apologizing for being sick. Her voice broke. He would look at hospital bills and say, I'm sorry, baby, as if cancer was some purchase he had made irresponsibly. Ethan's face softened. I hated what debt did to his dignity. She wiped her cheek. So yes, I protect mine. Ethan leaned forward. I'm not trying to buy you. I know. Do you? She looked at him. Yes. That surprised him. She smiled faintly. That's part of the problem. What? I believe you. Silence. Then she said, and believing you is becoming dangerous. Day 9. Richard Cole collapsed again. This time Ethan was at Bellmore. He left so quickly Nora found his laptop still open. At the hospital, Richard was unconscious. Dr. Patel met Ethan in the corridor. The arrhythmia was severe. Can you stabilize him? We have. For how long? The doctor hesitated. Ethan understood. How long? Days are difficult to predict. Ethan sat beside his father for 6 hours. At 2:10 a.m., Richard opened his eyes. Bellmore? Ethan laughed despite himself. You nearly die and ask about real estate. Nora? She's difficult. Richard smiled weakly. So you still like her? Ethan lowered his head. I don't know what I'm doing. Good. That's your advice. For once. Richard reached toward him. Ethan took his hand. Dad. Yes? Why Bellmore? His father stared at the ceiling. Your mother performed there. Ethan froze. What? Before we met? Richard smiled. She was terrible. You never told me. She made me promise. What did she do? Community production. The Sound of Music. Ensemble. Ethan laughed. My mother? She forgot half the choreography. Richard's eyes filled. That theater was where I first saw her. Ethan looked down. That's why you bought it. One reason. What's the other? Richard looked at his son. I heard Nora speak at a preservation meeting 6 months ago. You knew her? Not personally. What did she say? That buildings matter because people leave pieces of themselves inside them. Richard squeezed his hand. I thought maybe if you spent long enough somewhere full of other people's memories, you might remember you were allowed to make some of your own. Ethan looked away. Dad, I don't need Bellmore saved. Richard's voice was weaker now. And I don't need you married. Ethan looked back. I need you alive. I am alive. No. His father's eyes filled. You are efficient, successful, respected, busy. A pause. But I haven't seen you alive in years. Ethan did not answer. Richard whispered, Don't wait until grief gives you permission. Nora arrived at dawn. Ethan found her sitting outside the ICU holding 2 coffees. How did you know? Leo. He sat. She handed him one. I hate hospital coffee. I bought it downstairs. That is hospital coffee. Then suffer. He smiled faintly. They sat quietly. After several minutes, Ethan said, My mother performed at Bellmore. Nora turned. What? That's why my father bought it. She stared. He never told me. He never told me either. Ethan looked at the coffee. He says he sent me there because I forgot how to be alive. Nora's voice softened. Did you? I don't know. She looked at him. Yes, you do. He exhaled. My father may die. I know. I don't know how to do that. You don't do it. What? You survive it. That sounds worse. It is. He laughed softly, then stopped. Nora. Yes? If he dies tomorrow, I don't want the last 12 days of his life to become the reason I keep Bellmore. Good. And if he lives 10 years, I still don't want to sell it. She stared. Ethan continued. Not because of him. Her eyes filled. Then why? Because you were right. About? The place has value. Nora smiled through tears. That sounded painful. Extremely. And I ran the numbers again. She laughed. Of course you did. We can restructure operations, mixed-use programming, education grants, film rentals, membership model. You were wrong about corporate sponsorship. Her eyes widened. I was not. You were. Ethan. Page 14. She stared at him. He smiled. Then she laughed. And somehow, sitting outside the ICU while his father slept behind a wall of machines, Ethan laughed too. Richard's dream. A woman laughing. And for the first time, so was he. Richard died 2 mornings later. Day 11. Not dramatically. No final speech. No miraculous waking. Ethan had gone downstairs to take a call. Nora sat beside Richard. When Ethan returned, the room was quiet. He knew before anyone said anything. The nurse turned. Mr. Cole. No. Nora stood. Ethan walked to the bed. His father looked exactly the same. That was the cruelest part. He touched Richard's hand. Still warm. Dad. Nothing. Ethan bowed his head. Nora moved toward him. He turned and held her. Not carefully. Not politely. He held her like the room had lost gravity. She wrapped both arms around him. I wasn't here. You were here. I left. For 10 minutes. I left. Ethan. He was alone. No. She pulled back and held his face. He wasn't. Ethan looked at her. I was here. His breathing stopped. Nora's eyes filled. I was holding his hand. Ethan stared. He wasn't alone. Something inside him broke. He cried against her shoulder until he had nothing left to hide. The 12th day came after the funeral. Ethan stood alone on the Bellmore stage. Nora entered quietly. You're early. I couldn't sleep. She walked down the aisle. So, 12 days. Yes. What happens now? Ethan looked around the theater. The cracked molding. The old curtains. Seat G12. The place where his mother had once forgotten choreography. The building his father purchased to force him to notice his own life. Then he looked at Nora. The Mercer offer expires at 5. She nodded. What are you going to do? Turn it down. Nora closed her eyes. Not triumph. Relief. Ethan continued. And create a non-profit operating trust. She opened her eyes. What? Cole Development retains the building. Bellmore Foundation runs programming. You lead it. Ethan, with a salary. No. Yes. I already told you. You are currently working 70 hours a week for free. I don't need. You need health insurance. She stopped. And retirement contributions. Don't get carried away. And staff. Ethan. And the roof. She started laughing. He watched her. What? You really cannot help yourself. I'm improving. Slowly. He stepped off the stage. Nora. Her smile faded. There's something else. Of course there is. I don't want this to end because day 12 arrived. She looked at him. The theater? No. Silence. He walked closer. I came here because my father told me to. I know. I stayed because I wanted to understand the building. She nodded. Then somewhere around the leaking bathroom, the spreadsheets, the noodles, the balcony. Very romantic list. I'm doing my best. She smiled. Ethan continued. Somewhere in all of that, I stopped thinking about 12 days. Nora's eyes filled. So did I. He swallowed. I don't know what happens next. Neither do I. That bothers me. I know. I usually know. I know. He smiled. Could you stop enjoying this? No. Ethan reached for her hand. I don't want to arrange anything. I don't want terms. I don't want a plan that guarantees some outcome. Nora raised an eyebrow. Are you feeling well? Not particularly. She laughed softly. He stepped closer. I want dinner. Dinner? With you. You could have made that speech much shorter. I'm grieving. Give me something. Fine. Fine? Yes. Tonight? You own a calendar, Ethan. Nora. 7. Where? She smiled. Somewhere with a soul. 1 year later, the Bellmore Theater reopened after restoration. Not transformed. Restored. That distinction mattered to Nora. The old red seats stayed. G12 remained untouched. The gold molding was repaired instead of replaced. Richard Cole's name appeared nowhere on the front of the building. Ethan had suggested it. Nora refused. Instead, inside the lobby, beneath an old photograph of the theater in 1956, there was a small plaque. For the people who leave pieces of themselves behind. On opening night, every seat was filled. Olivia attended. Leo wore a tuxedo and complained about it for 3 hours. Mr. Bennett sat in G12. Nora stood backstage watching the audience settle. Ethan found her. You're hiding. I'm observing. You're panicking. I am not. You reorganized the programs 6 times. They were crooked. He smiled. Come with me. Where? Trust me. That has historically gone badly for women. Nora. She followed him. He led her through the side corridor and out onto the roof. The marquee glowed below. People crowded the sidewalk. Nora stared. It's beautiful. It is. You did good. We. She looked at him. We. For several seconds they simply stood there. Then Ethan said, My father would have loved tonight. Nora nodded. He would. I still reach for my phone sometimes. I know. Then I remember. She slipped her hand into his. I still talk to my father. You told me. You can talk to yours. Ethan looked toward the sky. That feels ridiculous. Most useful emotional things do at first. He laughed. Then he looked at her. I love you. Nora froze. Ethan froze too. Apparently neither had expected him to say it. That was not planned, he said. She started laughing. Nora, I'm sorry. Do you want to respond? I'm enjoying watching you malfunction. I take it back. No, you don't. No, I don't. She stepped closer. I love you too. He exhaled. That went better. Barely. Then she kissed him beneath the Bellmore marquee lights. Downstairs, the orchestra began. 3 years later, Ethan stood in the Bellmore lobby holding a little girl on his shoulders, while Nora argued with a contractor about paint. No beige. It's historically accurate. It's emotionally depressing. The contractor looked helplessly at Ethan. Don't involve me. Smart man. The little girl tugged Ethan's hair. Daddy? Yes? Seat. What seat? Grandma seat. Ethan looked toward G12. They had told her the story. The theater where her grandmother once performed. Where her grandfather first saw her. Where her parents met. Ethan lowered his daughter carefully. Nora came beside him. The little girl ran down the aisle toward G12. Ethan watched her climb into the enormous seat. Nora rested her head against his shoulder. Your father was right. About what? You needed somewhere full of memories. Ethan watched his daughter swing her feet from G12. No. Nora looked at him. He was half right. What was the other half? Ethan kissed her forehead. I needed somewhere to make my own. And somewhere, in the walls of an old theater that had survived almost 100 years of endings and beginnings, another piece of a family remained. Not because a building could keep people alive. It couldn't. Richard was gone. Ethan's mother was gone. Nora's father was gone. But love had left evidence. A seat. A photograph. A repaired stage. A sentence remembered. A daughter laughing where people they loved had once laughed before her. Ethan had spent most of his life believing success meant building things no one could take from him. His father had understood something different. The things that matter most were never safe from loss. That was precisely why they mattered. You could lose a person, you could lose a place, you could lose the future you thought you had more time to reach. But while something was yours to love, you had a choice. You could keep postponing it, or you could show up. Richard Cole had given his son 12 days. In the end, Ethan needed far less time to understand the lesson. He just needed long enough to stop looking at an old theater as a property and start looking properly.